Thanks for talking to us, Dave. Just as we get ready for your next game on a Tuesday night, it's an opportunity and a quick chance to probably just get back to performing to the levels that you have been doing of late. Might have just dipped a little bit on Saturday.
Yeah, certainly Saturday was a bit disappointing performance-wise. I think the result was acceptable given the performance, but we've got to be aware that if you perform like that every week, you're not going to pick up that many points, certainly not that many wins. So we know that our performance has got to improve in order to win a game of football. It's not very often we say that. Normally it's the other way around. The performance is there, but sometimes the result isn't. But look, we didn't lose when we didn't play very well, so that's a positive. So all in all, you take it and move on, but you don't brush that kind of thing under the carpet. That's for sure.
We did just touch on it on Saturday in terms of starting games, and you said we've got to do better. Unfortunately, it happened at the first half on Saturday, not the second half. How can you improve that? You've only got a short space of time between Saturday and playing again on Tuesday. So, what are you going to try and do to make that better?
I don't think it's not a technical thing. It's not a tactical thing. It's just a mentality thing. It's getting up to speed in the warm-up. It's accepting what's going to come at you first 5 minutes of any half, first 10 minutes, and being prepared for it. That's the biggest improvement in your head. So I think you can make gains in that sense. So, that's the challenge. One of the challenges to take from Saturday, and that's where we've got to improve.
Are you saying it's down to the individuals then, that your own players to get that in the mind to be ready? Can you as the management team can't help really much?
No, we can help. The words that I say before the game and the manner in which I say them massively impacts on anyone's mentality. So I'm not going to sit here and say, no, it's all down to them, because that's just me throwing individual players under the bus. And I'm certainly not going to do that. That's not how I manage, and I don't believe the right thing to do. I know some managers do throw players under the bus, but I certainly don't do that, or not intentionally, that's for sure. So no, the book primarily starts with me, and it might end with the players, but I can have a massive influence on what they do and don't do. I wouldn't be the first if you were saying positive things about how I can influence the players, but it works both ways, that, and I've got to make sure that the players are prepared and fully ready in between their ears as well as at their feet before any half of the game. And like I said, that's got to improve. So I can look at the players, but I've got to look at myself first, and that's what I'll always do, because I think that's my role, that's my job.
You're not a side that draws too many games. Well, in the last 5 games, I think you've drawn four of the matches. But it's very close, isn't it, to drawing and turning those draws into wins, and that could be a key towards the back end of the season.
Yeah, I think have we been fluid in the last few games? Not particularly. Don't get me wrong. You go to Plymouth, it's a tough game, and we probably, if one team was going to go on and win it, it'd have been us. And we've drawn a game to a penalty that wasn't a penalty. You go to Rochdale and you say you've put yourself in a great position and we shouldn't have lost it. But then you look at their recent results where they've gone to Charlton and scored 4, Wigan and they've scored 3. And you go, well, they can do that to any team, not just us. However, that shouldn't have happened. So, some of the draws, there's different ways of looking at it, if you like. Saturday was a disappointing performance, and in the end an acceptable result because of the level of performance. It doesn't matter which way you look at it, we've got to improve our performance in order to maximise the opportunity of taking 3 points in any one game of football, and that's the challenge that's the challenge after every game or before every game, and that's the challenge going forward.
In the last 10 days or so, though, due to a transfer and injuries, your team's changed quite a bit. Yeah. Will it need a little bit of a time for that just to bed in and adjust? What do you think?
Yeah, I think with what's happened recently, injuries and Perry leaving, there has been I don't want to say a word that I don't want to describe it in a way that it seems dramatic or negative or disastrous, because it's not. It's none of them. But have we been at our fluid best because of the injuries, because of the Perry going? No, we haven't. Is that a coincidence? Probably not. But at the same time, that's what we do, you know. Rio was fine Saturday. Billy Jones has come in, having trained with us once, done fine. When Stephen Walker on the pitch, he was good. So, you know, we've got Anthony now as well. So we go, well, look, that's where we're at. That's the evolution of any team. You know, whenever a manager brings new players in or gives new players, when I say new players, young players chances, there's always that risk of a performance that's not as fluid, not as conjoined as more established players. Are we going through that period in the last 10 days? Are we going to go through it in our next 10 days? Possibly. I go, well, okay, that's part of the evolution of a football team. You know, I'm not going to sit here and complain about that. That's part of our job. I think one thing we have done is try to prepare the lads that come into the team as best they can to hit the ground running once they're in the team. And they've developed away from here in the first instance when they're on loan, so that when they do come in, there's less of a gap. And again, biggest example being Travis, and where Owen Dale's got to Ollie Finney, even Will Yaskalan. You know, when they come in the team, they didn't look out of place. When you do that with 2 or 3 of them, does it have an impact? Of course it does. But then on the flip side, we're 10 unbeaten in League One. You just go, well, you know, that's not to be sniffed at, and I'm not sure any other team's 10 unbeaten in League One, and I'm pretty certain half the league had swapped positions with us as well. So we're trying to evolve, we're trying to get better, we're trying to make sure people behind, you know, let's say squad numbers, I don't know, 16 to 24 are better prepared for when they're required. And that's come in the last 3 games, and it'll come in the next 10 games, possibly. And then we go, well, that's where we're at. And that's what we have to do at this football club, to develop players. And whether that's youngsters or players from outside that have come in on loan, we have to develop them. And that doesn't stop.
As you pointed out, 3 moves in the transfer market inside a week is excellent news for you, because you've had that support to be able to do that. Your latest one come Anthony Evans, coming from Germany, but knows all about English football from Everton. What's behind that one? What prompted you? What's he going to bring to your squad, you hope?
We wanted an attacking-minded all-rounder, if you want, for a better term. Versatility is a key thing for us because of the incessant nature of the games, because getting tested twice a week, you could have a COVID bomb blow up in your face on one of those 2 days. And obviously the normal injuries that's probably increased because of the incessant nature of the games. So versatility is key. So being able to play an attacking midfielder, a deeper midfielder, a sort of middle midfielder, if you like, is beneficial. We think he's got ability. He's got to prove it. He needs to hit the ground running. He hasn't played that many games, so he's got to get up to speed quickly. And when he does that, then we think we're going to have a good player that will be coached well and fit right into our football club.
Obviously, the loss of your top scorer, fingers crossed, he's coming a bit closer to getting fit, and Mikel Manton has paved the way for Chris Porter to get some games under his belt, but it's left you short of that extra man down the middle. Is that some area that you would try, and if you could, bring somebody in? Is that just the one area that might be missing from the jigsaw now?
Well, when the shop's open, you're always shopping. I take that advice from my wife. So, yeah, please cut that out. Please don't use that. No, look, the transfer window's open for another 6, 7, 8 days. No, 6 days. No, what is it? Next Monday, isn't it? 8 days, if you include today. So, whatever that shop's open, we'll be shopping. And whether we get one done, we'll have to wait and see.
I should imagine that is the one real hard place. I know they're not easy to get new players in, but that golden striker who gets goals is always hard to come by. But you trust your recruitment staff and yourself, don't you? There.
Yeah, listen, you've got recruitment. Like I said before, is not a science; it's an art form. And if it was a science, the data analytics would be far, far more prevalent. And all these scouts with flat caps and long coats on wouldn't go to the games. That's the art form bit. Now you've got to mix the two together, and ultimately you've got to get more right than wrong. It's as simple as that. You've got to try and get them all right. But if you tell me a manager that's got them all right, I'd tell you a liar, because it's just not the case. But like I say, if you get more right than wrong, you're on the right track. And because of the nature of what you're trying to recruit, strikers are always the hardest, because everyone's seen and everyone's looking out for them, seeing the players score goals. So it's difficult, but it's another challenge, and it's one that we embrace, and hopefully get the right players in.
Well, next protocol is off to Gillingham. You know all about Steve Evans' way of playing. The one thing that you will definitely want is if you can get as much possession as you did in the home game, be more clinical, because that's what let you down. You could get a result there, because it was a game that you lost 1-0 but dominated.
Yeah, and that's one of them games where the performance was good, but the result was poor. Steve's first words to me at the final whistle was harsh. You just sort of tip your head and go, yeah, that's the way the cookie crumbles. Sometimes I'm sure we'll win games where we don't deserve to win games. But we don't want to make a habit of losing games playing well. So, yeah, we played well, but we didn't win the game. So if you said to me, are you going to play poorly and win the game, I'd take that right now. So we've got to make sure that, we play better than we did Saturday, and hopefully get a favourable result.